All right, so now that you've had a chance to copy those notes, we're going to talk about what each one means and then do some practice. So step number one is you're going to ask how many times the divisor goes into the dividend. I call it the Gesinte. How many times does it Gesinte? And I'll point, when we do a practice problem, I'll point to what is what. Okay, so you say, how many times it's Gesinte, right? Like Gesinte. It's a process. It's a math term, Gesinte. Step two, you're going to put the answer to that Gesinte up on the line. Step three, you're going to multiply whatever you just put on the line by the divisor, and the answer to that multiplication gets written under it, under the dividend. Then you do a subtraction problem, and again, when you see it set up, it'll make a lot of sense. You just put a little minus and you do the subtraction. Then you do a check, and when we do a practice problem, I'll tell you what you're checking, okay? Because there are correct answers and there are incorrect answers to this, which is different than how everyday math did it. So you have to have the correct answer. And then you're going to bring down the next number after it, and then you repeat the Gesinte-ing until you're finished. And then again, you'll see it, but you'll know you're finished when after you do the subtraction, you get 0 as your answer. If that happens, you know you're finished. And there's nothing else to bring down. Okay? So let's try a few. My original problem, and this is the same one in your book, but in the book you just see it all written. I'm going to walk you through it step by step so you know what I'm talking about. My original problem was 1/4. Okay? The first part of this is knowing how to set it up correctly. 1/4 is 1 divided by 4. So the 4 is called the Amaya? Divisor. The 1.00 in this case is called the Josh?
Dividend.
The dividend. And when you're finished, the answer goes on top of the line. That is called the Schuyler. The quotient. Very good. Now, in this case, the remainder is 0. Okay? So there's also the remainder people talk about. Good. So once I set it up with the 4 as the divisor, I do 1 divided by 4. Step 1. How many times does it Gesinte? So I asked myself, 4 Gesinte 1, how many times? Well, it doesn't Gesinte it. It's too big. So the answer is 0. You put 0 up on the line, which was that step 2? Put the answer on the line?
Yes.
Remember? Step 3 is what? Look at your notes. What is step 3?
Multiply by the dividend.
Multiply that answer by the divisor. So 0 times 4 is 0. What was the next step? What was the next step? Jackson?
All
right. I remembered it. Yes?
Put answer under the dividend.
Right, so I did that, and after that?
Oh, subtract.
Do the subtraction problem. That's what I was talking about. 1 minus 0 is?
1.
1 minus 0 is?
1. 0.
No, it's 1. I just want everyone to say it. Don't panic.
Yeah.
1 minus 0 is?
1.
Next step was bring a number down. Remember that? Is it in your notes? Next step, bring the number down. Okay. So in this case, I had to add a decimal point and a 0, which I'm allowed to do because 1 is equal to 1.0, right? So there is a 0 there if I need it. So I put it and then I bring it down. What's the next step? After you bring down the number, Becca?
Check.
The check. Well, actually the check should have come earlier. When I did the 0, after I do my subtraction problem, if my answer is bigger than the divisor, I pick the bad number and I have to erase it and go back. So that was the check. What's the next step? Now that I've got my answer to my subtraction and I brought down my next number, repeat that process, the Gesinte-ing, until you're finished. So I got my answer, I brought down, and now I repeat until I'm finished. 4 Gesinte 10 this time. See? Before I did 4 into 1, now I'm dropping down to here. 4 Gesinte 10. How many times does it Gesinte it? Ed,
The gazinta's 2 times.
2 times. So I put my answer up on the line. I multiply the answer by the divisor. I write the answer to that under that. I do my subtraction. I get 2. I bring down a 0, and I repeat the process again. How many times does 4 gazinta 20 now? Deja.
4 gazinta 20.
5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. This time when I do my subtraction, I get 0. That's how I know I'm finished. Okay? So it's the same steps repeated over and over again. And then just everybody, if you didn't copy this, you don't need this part. It's in your book, and you're going to do a lot of them, but you do need this part. We call that a terminating decimal because there are only 2 non-zero decimal places. In other words, this 2 and 5. That's it. You're done. So it terminates. It ends. The other way of remembering that is we got 0 when we subtracted. So we did our subtraction. We got 0. It's terminated. Right, Coles?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you need to copy that part right down here. What terminating decimals mean.